We're ready to hear from our builders and multifamily operators on what they think of all of this research that was thrown at you. Do you have a first hot take
first
for
of
us,
all,
Pete?
it's very exciting. There's two words I love. One is anticipate. The other is innovate. And, I think we all agree that we must innovate all the time because technology changes so quickly. At Landsea Homes, we build what we call a high-performance home, and it's built off 4 pillars. Home automation is one, energy savings, sustainability, and then healthy lifestyle. And what I love is we kind of incorporate, a lot of these different elements into those 4 pillars. And so it's ever-changing, it's evolving. We've got folks here that are involved in a lot of different aspects of our technology. We really do a top-down approach, starting with our executives. They're very, very passionate. Our company really was founded on this whole high-performance home concept. So we're relatively young, which gave us, I think, an advantage because the buy-in is huge. And so what we do is we're partnered with Apple, and so we use HomeKit-enabled products, but we allow our divisions to kind of pick and choose what products they want to do standard. We do have a standard platform, so they know they've got to do certain things, but we do allow them the freedom to choose which products within that HomeKit capability. So it's exciting to hear. There's so many things that I'm sure we're going to go back and talk about, but I love it. I think it's great. There's a lot of new stuff happening, especially with appliances and connectivity and that kind of thing. So
Thanks, Pete.
Yep.
Justin.
Yeah, and so from a multifamily perspective, I think that technology really it drives some operational efficiencies, probably more so than it does from the builder side. We tend to maybe utilize different technology, different ways. Security is a big one for us to allow residents, guests, everyone to have a seamless pathway from the front of the building, through the building, commons areas, into the unit, and then have that kind of holistic platform or single app for the resident to really just have a great experience while they're walking through, inviting guests over, scheduling dog walkers, just using that technology and then also keeping the people that aren't credentialed or allowed to be in the building out of the building as well, since a lot of those are urban high-rises and mid-rises.
Very cool. Trevor, what's your take?
So in the luxury segment, we've been doing smart home technology for a very long time. It's interesting, in recent years, I've seen, most of my homeowners were boomers, and now we're moving into the Generation X segment. And a lot of my homeowners have had smart homes in the past, this might be their 3rd, 4th, 5th home. And they're kind of pushing back on some of the technology. I think they've gotten burned by, bad integration in previous homes, and they almost want to control it themselves now. They're really into having the app where they can get in there and do everything themselves rather than calling up their integrator, waiting however long for them to show up and getting them to do the work. They want to control it. So just totally changed the dynamic of our people.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. We're going to go to open discussion if that clicks. So I've got 3 big questions. We'll start with these top 2, which are what's the top tech relevant consumer trend to play on right now, and what's the top technology to watch in the next 2 years. I got some inputs from our builder panelists on this, and maybe you can walk us through these. I highlighted where I saw some commonalities, which were around the energy management and the air quality side of things. So there's a lot of conservation, energy, water, and the air quality. That was one of the common things. But Trevor, why don't you elaborate a little bit more on? It sounds like you're headed more towards a phone-based app approach to control, just based on previous dissatisfaction from these Gen X customers?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, whether it's Savant, Control4, name the technology, everybody's got an app now. So how do we bring all these things all together? And I think that companies such as Crestron and Savant have tried that, and some successfully and some not so successfully. So I am interested to see how this goes because, I mean, my phone, I've got 100 apps in there. And so now how do we manage all of this?
Right.
What's going to bring it all together?
Right. Who else wants to jump in on some of the remarks that you added here?
I can jump in. So I guess from a lot of the common or the highlighted are in my mind from a multifamily are kind of in the future technology. Some folks are doing leak sensors and those types of things now, but I think the real key will be water shutoff valves. We typically will sub-meter today for water, and so now instead of just having a sub-meter, you have a water shutoff valve that leak detector there's a little I can't talk now. A
Motorized,
flow, the flow is off, and so it'll automatically shut down that valve. And then being able to give that data to the resident on demand. So if they want to pull up their app, whoever you're using to control a unit, they're able to see what the utilization is from an electric standpoint in water.
And John Burns told us that on the build for rent, on the single family rent and multifamily, that the leak detection is kind of an all-in technology, is what we heard from him at least.
And the high-end insurance companies are now requiring it. Like Pure, for example, every home I build, they're requiring leak detection. So.
Peter, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I was going to say, we're seeing big focus on, what we call healthy lifestyle, and it includes air purification. It also includes, like John was talking about, lifestyle. People are working from home. We had kids being homeschooled. People want a gym. We offer what we call LiveFlex and LiveFlex Plus, and it really gives you the ability to create that environment within the home as an option.
You're talking about the work from home environment?
Yes. So it's not just like, I want a home office. It really gives you the flexibility of, school, home, gym.
So what is a home office now, right? Because it's kind of, there was the home office of 20 years ago, which was a place for a desk and a computer and maybe some high-speed connections, but to what extent is it a studio now? I mean, do we think, to what extent do we think that the buyer is looking for that ability to toggle between comfortable working environment to, I'm going to make a great impression from a studio perspective? What's that?
I'm just saying, right on the nose, John, right on the nose. Yeah.
What do we, I mean, is that in demand, and are we delivering on it, is one of my questions.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely in demand, and you have to dissect it. What do people want? People are Zooming, all day long. They want to take a break. I mean, one of the things we've done is in this package, we've got a wall mount that allows you to take the TV from a zoom angle, down to the ground, at least to the point where you could do yoga or whatever, people are doing. So just trying to think through it a little bit, I think, is important.
Yep. I don't want to exclude Steve and Brad from this discussion. I mean, what you guys made some great presentations. You covered a broad landscape. But what do you think the trend to play is, and what do you think?
Well, all I can say is that I see a lot of corroboration and corroborating evidence from the builder perspective with the research and vice versa. So all I can say is thank you for listening and paying attention to the data and the research. Brad and I feel great, but yeah, the observation, but just to come back to hybrid work and work from home, it's clear that, again, remember what I said about how the season of the pandemic really transmuted the consumer from a technology perspective, and simply put, technology is even more important now. We've heard different sectors and things, so that's really important to understand. And if you don't, you're going to be kind of towards the back of the line and not really get it. So people want to work with companies that get it, and it's clear the builders on stage and many of you in the audience certainly get it and are embracing these solutions. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, John,
ahead.
I would just add, I think also builders need to, in looking toward the future, start thinking beyond the hardware, right? I mean, the future really is going to be a whole nother level of analytics and artificial intelligence, and it's really going to be the service providers that are able to kind of pull it all together. I mean, manufacturers will do some of it, but if it's ever going to be orchestrated together and to really produce the kind of value that requires multiple sensor fusion, integration, all of that, I think we'll see a lot more service providers entering this space with more higher end, whether it's whole home energy management or it's machine learning that gives predictive recommendations to the family and those kinds of things.
So define a service provider for me on that.
Well, it could be
Who's gonna
anyone
do it?
from a security platform as a service provider, you know, like an Alarm.com or a Resideo, or it could be an ISP, like a Comcast or a Cox. These are people who have a big enough vision and big enough investment. Now, it could be a tech giant too, and so it remains to be seen whether the tech giants really want to move into that space. We certainly expect Google and ADT's right? A new platform that's going to come forth to apply a lot more in analytics and AI. And so we'll see what happens with that. But
Yeah, never forget one truism in tech is that consumers endorse options, but they abhor complexity. So let me decide, but whatever it is, it needs to be easy and meet me where I am.
Interesting. So this is the question for today because things have gotten a little soft out there. And is technology, can we leverage technology to address the downturn? So we've talked about a lot of big trends, some medium range stuff, some of the moment stuff, but how can we play tech right now in this market to affect more sales, more inquiries, more traffic at model homes or on digital model homes? What can we do? What's the play there?
Yeah, I think John Burns brought it up, and he said new home versus resale. There's a huge opportunity in new home sales, utilizing tech versus maybe a resale option. So I think.
How do we make that case that the new tech home is better than a used home, maybe with some pieces and parts retrofit? Are we good at telling that story right now and winning that battle?
It's a hard story to tell, but at the same time, it's easy, but it depends on how you market it. So I think it comes down to your marketing message.
Well, we know consumers want the convenience of move-in ready,
Yeah.
right? They want the financing terms of rolled into the mortgage.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a very strong message to tell and something that is reliable and integrated.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you walk into an older home that's been remodeled at 5 different stages
Yeah.
in 4 different decades,
Yeah.
right? And you really would prefer something that was flipped, gutted, and everything had a design, and it's the same way with tech. I mean, people want to move into a space where everything has been hand-chosen to work together.
I think
that's the message.
Yeah, it's like the auto industry. You buy a new vehicle with all the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
So good analogy.
Other thoughts?
Well, on that same note, I mean, typically my homeowners, and I think actually most consumers want something new. I think that people will settle for, a used home, but I think in the end, people want something new. The struggle's time, right? In this big mass migration around the country, which has hit my market very hard, people want to just move right into something, and there wasn't anything there. So then they decided, well, I guess we're going to have to build. So our market's still very, very strong, but who knows how long that's going to last. So, whatever.
Any thoughts?
For me, it's not a downturn for
Aha.
the retail market.
Okay. He was just trying to keep that quiet. right?
But I would say leveraging tech for we have problems with workforce. So being able to hire people, keep people, from a living perspective, service perspective, and so then it's using tech to address those types of.
So it's work from home.
Not work from home, just
Okay.
allowing operations to do self-guided tours or to,
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
allow.
Yeah, more the sales and marketing
Correct.
technology versus the installed technology for the consumer. Well, what John said right after he said competing with resale, and he showed us those really impressive statistics in terms of the small slice of the overall market that we get. But the thing that he said right after that was work from home. And I'm still very disappointed in how we're addressing work from home, because a major manufacturer has a lot of pieces and parts that go into work from home solutions. Said the average builder, high volume builder's response to work from home is get an extra bedroom, instead of actually outfitting a room that is today's work from home situation. And I think that's a room that can win sales versus used, and I think it's a room that can win sales versus you're not so sure.
Oh, it's a requirement for my homes. I mean,
Yeah.
we always have these big, nice offices. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
have you
get it.
gotten into them being like Zoom rooms
Oh yeah.
and stuff like
oh
that?
yeah. They design their cabinets and stuff just so they look a certain way behind the camera. And,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
it's
that's a
thing.
winner for you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
It's like they're going to go to you because you offer that, and you don't have everybody else doing that you're competing with, do you? Not yet. Maybe after this.
And John, you're tapping into something that I think could ostensibly lever people into the market, even in this inflationary environment and with rising interest rates, is the need to adjust the living space to the current lifestyle. And obviously, when you can start from the ground up and build it in customization, there's a lot of really cool things that you can do when you're starting from scratch that are harder to do when you're in a retrofit situation, like work from home. We may have a couple that both spouses are working from home full time. We're in this house. What are we going to do? We can't take over the kids' room, the basement, so we need a new space. And also for gyms, and then healthy home technology.
Yeah.
That just might not even
the
be possible.
holistic thing, not just
Yes.
the office, but work
EV
from
charging.
home could be
Yeah.
working from home
And
in a
on
lot
and
of
on.
different places, and you need to recharge yourself, and you need to have separation from the work sometimes. So we really need to study that a little bit like anthropologists and figure out how we can come up with a winning offer. And it's not easy because it's a mix of BYOD. This is a technology, and it's a mix of bring your own device and infrastructure, right? And whenever it's bring your own device, builder folk tend to see, well, that's not for me, because there's something that's bought at retail that I'm not selling. But it's such a huge demographic trend. And not only do we have these people coming to work, but because they're working from home, they're able to move and live someplace differently. So they're really more in play than a lot of the other consumers out there. So if I was going to recommend one thing to play on for market downturn and competing against resale, I recommend let's go full bore on work from home, but that's just my stupid opinion.
How long does this go on for, though? I mean, is this a permanent thing? You know, that's my question. You know, the work from home thing obviously was started by COVID, but I don't know. Is this something that we plan forever? I mean,
you could read an article in McKinsey like every week on this stuff.
Yes.
The battle lines continue to shift. I mean, we aren't going back to what we did 3 years ago. We're clearly, now whether there'll be some receding of it a little bit, because there's a lot of major employers that are saying get in the office, we'll see, but we're not going anywhere near back to where we were. I don't
in the office,
think.
but just for a few days.
Yeah, it's a hybrid. Yeah.
I agree with that.